This is key number 8 out of 10 keys to grow your business by 10 times. In this particular episode, again, this is key number 8. I will show you how to 10 times your income by investing in the right coaches and mentors. They are not a cost, they are an investment. You're going to see why. So I'm Doug Andrew, and what do I know? Well, I've started numerous businesses throughout my lifetime. I'm in my 70th year, and no, I don't color my hair, but I have been helping entrepreneurs take their business, whatever it is, if they're an orthodontist, a chiropractor, a realtor, a CPA, a tax attorney, a financial advisor, to take their practice to 10 times in 60 months or less while simplifying their life. Yep, a lot of people think, well, if I'm going to earn 10 times more, I'm going to work 10 times harder. No, you will work less if you go through all 10 of these episodes. So as I proceed, this is key number 8 out of 10. And I want you to post a comment, click like, share with another entrepreneur if something is resonating with you. So here we go. This is actually key number 8 in my book, The 10 Keys Transformation. At the end of this episode, I'm going to show you how you can get a free copy of this book. Now, key number 8 is stated in the book, use professional coaches and mentors to form strategic alliances. This is where I have met most of my strategic alliances. So let me give you just a glimpse, because in my master class, I spend a couple of hours on this. My favorite coaches throughout my 48 years of doing what I do are Dan Sullivan, Joe Polish, Robert Cooper, Abundance 360, Kathy Lovelace, and these are all investments that I make in them on an annual basis. Dan Sullivan is known as the strategic coach. I met him years ago, and it took me a few years to finally engage with him because I had another coach at the time. Dan, it's $25,000 a year for his base program. And I did that for 2 decades. So you do the math, I've shelled out $500,000 just in that, but also in additional programs and materials. I've invested well over $1 million sharpening my saw, as Steve Covey would say, with Dan Sullivan. We meet together with 40 to 60 other entrepreneurs. We learn from Dan. He helps us think, and then we share among our mastermind groups. That $25,000 a year was not a cost. It was an investment, and I got a great return on that investment. Joe Polish, he belongs to Strategic Coach also. That's where I met him. But he formed what is called the Genius Network. And he connects people, and he shows you how to market. And that is also $25,000. They both have programs that are $100,000 if you want to belong to those. But you start out usually with the $25,000 group. In fact, that's what Joe called his, was $25K when he first started it. The whole key here is, instead of trying to be the smartest person in the room, we check our egos at the door, and we're just more interested in trying to be in a room where everybody's trying to get smarter. And that's the benefit behind these. Now, Dr. Robert Cooper, he only does a program with 12 entrepreneurs for 12 months. And then you're an alumni after that. But that is $75,000 for 1 year. It was worth every dime. Abundance 360, that's Peter Diamandis is the facilitator of that. That's usually $10,000 to attend that 3-day event. Kathy Lovelace, she's local to where I live, and she's been part of the National Speakers Association for years. And so she mentors people on how to take their speaking practice to a whole new level. She usually charges $3,000 for that. So I wanted to put Kathy in there because you don't have to be shelling out 10 and 20 and 50 and $100,000. So these are some of my favorite coaches and mentors. I have many more. In fact, when I talk about mastermind groups, Strategic Coach, Genius Network, 12 Leaders, Life Pro, the Brilliant Minds Group, which is a local one in the Utah area where I live. Vistage, that's national. These are business owners and entrepreneurs. The National Speakers Association, NSA. The C-Suite, CEO Space, maybe you've heard of. Abundance 360. I have mastermind groups called Idea to Implementation, because a lot of times you get ideas, but the hardest part is implementing it. And then IUL Insiders is a mastermind group. And this is for insurance agents that sell indexed universal life. And I help them take their practice to 10 times. And so these are some of my favorite mastermind groups. And some of these I facilitate myself and others I attend. Now, one of the things that I learned from Dan Sullivan, this is just an example of why you want to use a coach. Dan taught me 20 years ago what he calls the R factor question. And this was worth every dime that year. This is where he taught us to sit down with clients and simply ask the question, Jim and Mary Jones, if we were sitting here, and then you think of a time frame, 3 years from today, looking back over that 3-year period to today, what has to have happened in your life, not just financially, but physically, spiritually, all dimensions of your life, for you to be happy with the progress you made? I ask that one question and I sit back and listen and take notes. And they start telling me what has to have happened financially, physically, spiritually, with their kids, with their grandkids, with their company or whatever. And I just write. And that's called the R factor because you're developing a relationship. You are being sincerely interested, which I explain in another key. Now, once you get this down, then you go through the DOS conversation with them. The DOS is identifying the dangers or barriers that need to be overcome in order to achieve that dream or that vision they shared when I asked them the R factor question. So once they've told me what has to have happened in that 3-year period, then I say, well, what are the biggest dangers, roadblocks, hindrances, barriers that stand in the way? And then I proceed to eliminate those. And I ask them what the top 3 are. They'll usually brainstorm and I'll circle 3. They will share what those are. What are the greatest opportunities that you need to seize in order to see this dream come to fruition? And then what are the greatest strengths that you need to muster up and use that I can help you with, the abilities in order to accomplish this? That's called the DOS conversation. So let me give you a sample of this. As a financial advisor with a product called Indexed Universal Life, I'm able to help my clients and customers, and I communicate this on radio, TV, this YouTube channel. The 3 biggest dangers that cause most retirees to outlive their money are rising taxes, because they thought they were going to be in a lower tax bracket, and they're not. So taxes going up, inflation, cutting the purchasing power of the $1.50 every 5 to 10 years, and people outlive their money because of taxes and inflation. And then market volatility because they left their money in the market and they lost 30 and 40%, like twice in the decade from 2000 to 2010. And I show them that none of our clients lost a dime in 2001 to 2003 when the market dropped 40%. And none of our clients lost a dime in 2008 when most Americans lost 40% for the second time in a decade. So now they want to know, well, how did you do that? What I do is I eliminate those dangers. I help you make yourself immune from the negative impact of taxes, inflation, and market volatility by seizing 3 opportunities. Now I move to the O. You want to convert to tax-free vehicles, link your returns to the things that inflate, so inflation doesn't hurt you, it helps you, and you use indexing. So when the market goes up, you participate. When the market goes down, you don't lose because your money's not at risk in the market. People now are curious. So we're going to seize the opportunity to convert to tax-free vehicles, and that's max-funded indexed universal life. You're going to link your returns to the things that inflate. So if inflation goes to 10, you'll earn 15. If it goes to 15, you'll earn 20, which is what I've always done. I've always outpaced inflation. And you're going to eliminate the downside risk when the market crashes because your money is not in the market. You will not lose. You may not make anything that year, but you won't lose. Now they go, wow, I want to see those opportunities. Those eliminate those 3 dangers. Well, what are the greatest strengths that I can provide and that this max-funded IUL provides? Well, liquidity, safety, and rate of return. So you will have more liquidity, the ability to access your money when you need it in case of emergencies and during retirement and so forth. Number 2, you'll have safety of principal. If you set aside $1 million, I'm going to show you how you can get $80,000 to $100,000 a year of tax-free income without depleting principal. And if the market crashes 40%, you will not lose. But if you make 25% one year on $1 million, that's $250,000. That is locked in. You will never lose in the future the money you made in the past. People go, I've never seen a financial advisor do that. I go, yeah, I can believe that, but I can do it for you. using indexing. So the third is to earn a competitive rate of return, not pie in the sky, but averaging 7 to 10% tax-free. Tax-free, not just tax-deferred. Bam! Dangers, opportunities, and strengths. And this is how I have used this to be able to take what I learned from Dan Sullivan, one of my mentors, and convert it over to my own practice. This book called A Whole New Mind by Daniel Pink. He was one of my mentors, and he taught me the concept. This is a little bit of a different take, but he talked about using your whole mind, your right brain, and your left brain. And so I teach high concepts coupled with high touch, because some people make decisions more how they feel, others how they think logically. So that's why with one of my books that's a bestseller called The Laser Fund, I talk about liquidity and safety and rate of return and tax advantages. It spells the acronym LASER, liquid assets, safely earning returns. So in that book, it's actually 2 books in one. One side is 200 pages, 14 chapters, which is for the left brain thinker. It has all the charts and graphs. But for the people, oftentimes their spouse, who learns more by stories and examples, you flip the book over and you read this one. This is 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 stories, like Chicken Soup for the Financial Soul stories. And ever since I started communicating left brain or right brain, my business went through the roof. And you can go to laserfund.com and claim a free copy of this book if you want. You just contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. But folks, Dr. Robert Cooper, one of my mentors, I shelled out $75,000. There were 3 takeaways that were worth every bit of that 75 grand. He taught me how to do brief, brilliant, practical essence concepts, drop in your lap, where you can communicate them in even 3 minutes or 5 minutes, or like these YouTubes, in 10, 15, 20 minutes or less. That has been a game changer. I have over 730 educational YouTube videos on this channel. Subscribe. It's free. I post a new video almost on a daily basis. He taught us to be able, because there were 12, to always ask what's possible, who are we missing, what is the smallest change that we can make that will have the greatest impact. That made all the difference in the world. Third, he taught me how to arm my recommenders, the people who refer, arm my recommenders to easily defend with pride why they engaged with me. I make it easy for people to refer and recommend me. I give them copies of books. I give them links so that whenever they're talking to somebody, you need to read one of Doug Andrews' books. You need to connect with Doug Andrews. Here, let me just, where's your phone and so forth? Here, I get you a free copy of his book, The Laser Fund. Bam! That was worth $75,000, like 20-fold in the first 36 months. So folks, there's not a lack of information in the world. There's a dearth of people's time and attention. See, content is king, but only if your ideal client can find it. And so when you learn this key in the book, you're going to be able to move across this scale. So on this particular key, number 8, if you do things on your own and you don't think you need coaching and you can't afford a mentor, that's a 1 or a 2. You don't know what you don't know. If you know how to tell your story and you think that no one understands better than you how to be productive, well, you're a little bit higher than a 1 or 2. You're maybe a 3 or a 4 on a scale of 1 to 10. If you understand the dangers to eliminate for your ideal clients, the opportunities that you can help them seize, and the strengths to harness both for them and you, now you're getting closer. But if you attract plenty of opportunities and you use high concepts coupled with high touch, now you're not missing out on half the people out there if you make the mistake of thinking everybody makes decisions the way you do, right brain or left brain. No, you're missing out on half of your customers. But what's the perfect score? When you have coaches and you know that those coaches and mentors and alliances are an investment, not a cost, for exponential 10 times growth, now you are arriving. So folks, I want you to claim a copy of this 10 Keys book. This is where I've delivered this to the $1 Million Roundtable. This is where I've invested over $3 million in my life, and it has been a game changer to convert to over 100 million. You don't need to do that. If you claim your book by going to free10keysbook.com, you'll be able to go through a little processing fee and download a digital version and print it out. It'll be like this, but you can also get the audio. But I would recommend you look at the 10 Keys Masterclass, because for just a couple of $100, you can get what most entrepreneurs have paid $6,000 for, sometimes 2, 3, and 4 times, to go through the 18-hour class, and it's online. So engage. Be sure you watch the other 9 keys in this series of 10 keys, and I'll see you on the other side of your brighter future.